So the Cowboy owner, Jerry Jones, has yet again poked the fan. He's annoyed the fan. A percentage of the fan base appears to be annoyed here. Now, what did Jerry do now? He admitted the team is a, quote, soap opera 365 days a year by design. Jerry commenting during a recent red carpet interview. You might remember we mentioned in a previous episode of the show there is a Netflix documentary on the Cowboys, which is dropping in a few days. The Cowboys, there's a quote from Jerry Jones, the Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days a year. And he said, when it gets slow, I stir it up. Quote continues. And so it's wonderful, Jones said, to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle. There's emotion. And if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention. All right, so let us discuss the question. How did Jerry Jones comment? I just gave you the comment. How did Jerry Jones' commentary here about the Cowboys being a soap opera 365 days a year sound to you? So I've got Triple Baconator, the Wolf of Wall Street, and Secret Handshake. And we will combine all of these things together. We'll put them together, boom, just like that, boom, just like that. And we'll see what happens. So the first thought I had was self-absorbed, which is rather obvious. You don't need me to tell you that. Jerry has made himself the story. Right? Say what you want. However, Jerry Jones is a maestro of business. He's also transparent on this one. Wouldn't it be great if more of our politicians were transparent? Like the Cowboys are a soap opera. Of course they are. I talk about them more than anybody. They suck. The Cowboys, 365 days a year. And as he said, when it gets slow, he stirs it up. He said that before. This is not new. And, again, it's not me paraphrasing. That was the quote. When it gets slow, I stir it up, and 365 days a year. He just flat out admits it. Like, if you don't like it, you can't handle the truth. That famous line from Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. Few good men. So Jerry is proud of turning his team into the young and the restless, and it's all by design. Jerry Jones cracked the code. He got it's like figuring out DNA. He figured out the code, and he slow walks contract extensions, whether it was Dak and CeeDee Lamb in years past or what's going on right now. It doesn't matter. He drags them out. Bunch of media dopes complain. Oh, Jerry's costing the Cowboys millions of dollars. What's he doing? Well, why do they do it? Because it creates tension. What does tension lead to? It leads to engagement. It creates talking points. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the vortex, the Cowboys vortex. It creates content. Content is what it's all about. Content is king. The Cowboys are never quiet. It's like if Vince McMahon owned an NFL team back in his heyday in professional wrestling. Vince McMahon of the NFL. Only Jerry does not have the muscles. And he doesn't take chairs to the head. And there's no dye there. Jerry's had some work done, but that's fine. And a little P.T. Barnum in there, too. Step right up, come one and all, fun for all ages, the amazing Cowboys under the big top. You can watch them collapse in the playoffs if we make it. Tickets on sale now. Every news conference with Jerry Jones reminds me of being a kid watching the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan, and I'm waiting for Mean Gene Okerlund to pop in there. It's like a wrestling promo. Come see the Dallas Cowboys appearing at your local arena on this Saturday morning. Every delay on a contract is a storyline. It is. And when there's no story, Jerry, just make one up. Just make it up. Figure it out. And you know what? It's free marketing. It is. Whatever it costs, right? There's actual money because they don't sign the players right away. You save money if you sign them right away. But he figures, listen, I'm going to make that back on media coverage. And spoiler alert, he is. Franchise value. Cowboys are number one. They're right at the top. Yeah. You know how many NFL teams get wall-to-wall television and radio coverage year-round? One team. That's the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles won the Super Bowl And is anyone yapping about the Eagles? They get mentioned now and again. They won. They had the winning recipe. The Cowboys have the formula to get attention. Jerry has basically turned the NFL's most valuable franchise into his own reality show. It's very primal. The other thing I've noticed about this, talking about it 3 or 4 times a week, is how primal it is. The Cowboy fan, hardwired to eat this up. Right? They are. It's like fast food for the brain. It's like going to Wendy's and you get that triple Baconator back in the day and the Frosty and high drama. In this case, there's a lot of salt. It's actually terrible for you in the long run. But you keep going back for more. Now, unpopular opinion. Other teams should be copying what the Cowboys are doing. And Jerry's getting up there. He's not going to be around that much longer. And if you want to be relevant and you want to increase value and all that, you want attention, you can copy the Ravens. The Ravens have good teams every year. The Bills have been really good for the last 6-7 years or so. You'd be more like the Cowboys, though. You create the drama. You stir the pot. It gets a little messy. It gets a little sticky, a little humid. In Jerry's world, the ratings and the franchise value, that is much more important than the Super Bowl trophy. It just is. Now, page 2, staying with this theme, if you will, So Micah Parsons was spotted this week watching Cowboy practice, not taking part, watching, and he was only a couple of feet away from Jerry Jones, the aforementioned Jerry Jones, who liked the Cowboys so much he bought the team and then became the GM, and he's been the GM, longest tenured GM in the NFL. So Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons are standing just feet away from each other on the sidelines, but nothing has changed regarding the long contract negotiation between the two sides. So Jerry Jones was asked, what is preventing the sides from talking? And Jerry Jones said, really? He then paused and said, nothing. Nothing. Again, he said, nothing would be that, Jones said, and we might or we might not talk. And the rest of that gets into what we do every day. All right, a little confusing there, but close quote. Parsons declining to comment as he sashayed his way off the practice field there for the Cowboys. So let's do a fill-in-the-blank question. Fill in the blank. I'm going to go first, then you can go if you want and call in or send a message in. Cowboys hitting the pause button on the remote control, just like that. Hitting the pause button in Micah Parsons' negotiation is blank. Fill in the blank. So my word on this is premeditated. That is my word, premeditated. Again, my position is that Jerry Jones is going to take this to the buzzer. Right to the buzzer, like every good Bond movie where there's sticks of dynamite wrapped in tape. There's weird wires, and you got to figure out, do you cut the blue wire or the red wire, and you got to do it right before the clock strikes 0-0 and all that stuff. And so that's what's going to happen here, choreographed chaos. As I learned from the Wolf of Wall Street, it's all fugazi or fugazi. You know what fugazi is, though? It's fake. That's what it is. So that's what it is. All right, now last word. We move from Jerry's world and we go to the land of the Yinzer, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, that is where, of all people, Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison. Yes, that's the same guy, Nico Harrison. So the Mavericks GM Nico Harrison was spotted meeting at Steeler training camp with Aaron Rodgers, among others. Now, how do I know this? How am I aware of this? Because the picture that they took sitting at a table has gone viral. Now, maybe you saw it. Maybe you heard about it. Maybe you didn't hear about it. Maybe you didn't see it. I don't know. That's your life. But I saw it. And if I hadn't seen it, I had people sending it to me. Hey, did you see this? Oh, my God, you got to talk about this. Oh, my God. Okay. I don't know that I have to talk about this, but I am talking about it. So I did a little investigating, and I was like, well, how does Nico Harrison end up at a table with Aaron Rodgers? That seems very bizarre to me. So it turns out that one of the good friends of Nico Harrison is Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. They're besties. That's an odd pairing, isn't it? Like, how did they become buddies. That seems odd. There must be some story there. I don't know what the story is. Anyway, so Tomlin and Nico Harrison are buddies, and apparently Nico Harrison was at training camp the last couple of years. Of course, nobody knew who he was. Nobody cared about Nico Harrison. Now, of course, that story has changed dramatically. So question on this one. Why do you think the picture of Nico Harrison and Aaron Rodgers created such a visceral reaction? So I'll give my psychobabble, and then you can chime in. And just my reaction seeing the photo of the Mavericks GM and then the NFL's resident evangelist of the ayahuasca, Aaron Rodgers, it felt like you were eavesdropping in on something that you weren't supposed to see. It looked like there was some kind of secret handshake that was going on. You know, they were like shaking hands, like a couple of Bond villains, to use the Bond reference, like a couple of Bond villains. It was a snapshot so surreal that you were like, whoa. I mean, what's going on? I mean, there they were. Harrison, the man who traded Luka Doncic. Not really a trade. He just gave Luka Doncic to the Lakers for a bag of Orville Redenbacher popcorn, a stale bag of Orville Redenbacher popcorn. And I think he got invited to like a Laker chat, like an online chat, not in person, online. And then you've got Aaron Rodgers, besties with Joe Rogan, right? The quarterback who treats every conversation like he's doing a TED Talk about quantum consciousness and all that stuff. And together, side by side, at a table, with others, at Steelers training camp, looking like they were plotting some kind of cross-sport coup, a coup d'etat. And you had Harrison there. Was he trying to recruit Rodgers? Hey, Aaron, how would you like to be the offensive coordinator of the Mavericks? Well, Nico, you guys don't have an offensive coordinator. I don't care. We'll make you one. And there's Rodgers probably. I'm imagining he's like, oh, listen, Nico, I know there's a way now you can break down teams based on the holistic abilities. Forget analytics. Go with holistic analytics, which is a different thing. And it's we'll bring in Andrea from Berkeley. We'll bring Andrea in, the astrology insider, and she'll base what moves we make on the cycle of the moon. You know, is it going to be a wolf moon? Is it going to be? We'll look at the Farmer's Almanac. We'll figure it out, and we'll just do things on gut feelings. And then Nico's like, well, I don't know if we should do that. I don't know about that. Or maybe they were just bonding, Rodgers and Nico, over the shared love they have for alienating sports fans and redefining dysfunction. But whatever it is, the photo, it was like this rogue asteroid, seeing these two figures that, again, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm a little too into the weeds here in this job, and I've talked a lot about Nico Harrison over the last year, and I've talked for years about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I go so far back that here at Fox Sports Radio, I did a show with this guy named Chris Landry on the weekends in the early days of Fox Sports Radio, and we used to have Aaron Rodgers on after games he played at Cal. And I always thought, well, he must not be that good because he's coming on our show. And if he's a big star, he's not going to come on a radio show half an hour after Cal played Arizona State or whatever back in the day. But he did. He came on. He was fine. It was nice, and that was it. And he's gone on and had this amazing polarizing run in the NFL with all these different teams. But if Nico Harrison and Aaron Rodgers are the architects of chaos, then that means that you and I, those of us that either know about the photo if you're blind or saw the photo if you're not blind, we are all just spectators, and this is like the demolition derby. That's what it is.